And in the beginning of it all, a boy named Natsumi advertises the flower necklaces that the science club is selling at school. However, after only selling 5 units after spending the whole day trying to attract customers, he realizes that he is a terrible salesman, but tries to comfort himself, saying that he can make up for it by selling more the next day. And just as he is heading back to class, he is approached by a girl who starts complaining to him, saying that Natsumi can't leave the store alone. After all, some customers came by earlier, but there was no one to serve them. And upon hearing this, he says that even if he were in the store to serve them, the girl certainly wouldn't buy anything, since he considers himself a terrible salesman. However, the girl surprises him, saying that in fact, they bought 27 items from the store. At this, Natsumi takes the envelope with money from her hand, but as soon as he does so, he looks away, because he can't look at pretty girls for too long without feeling uncomfortable. And as for her, the girl continues to pressure him, talking close to his ear. She then asks why he set a sales goal of 100 items. Seeing that she found out about this, Natsumi asks how she found out about his goal, and then she says that she found out about it from Sato, the science club teacher. At this, Natsumi reminds her that she just violated his privacy, but still, she keeps pressing him, asking him to tell her why his sales goal is 100 items. And seeing that there is nothing else to do, he ends up giving in, and says that his goal is to open his own store to sell those products. But since entrepreneurship is something unstable, his parents asked him to follow a normal life, having a common job like other people. However, Natsumi decided to go ahead with his plan, starting a discussion with his parents, and in the end, they made a deal, in which case Natsumi must sell 100 items at his school to generate some trust in them. Upon hearing this, the girl starts to laugh at him, as Natsumi had already expected, and she says that his parents are right, because he really does have a very childish life plan. And when she sees her mocking his life goals, Natsumi gets angry. After all, the two don't even know each other. As for her, the girl decides to help him sell the remaining 68 items he needs to reach his goal, and so, she introduces herself as Inuzuka Himari and asks him to leave the sales with her the next day. And when that day arrives, Natsumi sees the girl advertising his products to her classmates, saying that they can buy them on an internet site, and thanks to her, he manages to sell all the remaining items. And 2 years after he started the online bazaar, Natsumi continues to sell his products online with the help of his parents' store. In this case, he only picks flowers and makes accessories with them, keeping to his own world. And although he is described by his family as a closed person, Natsumi believes that it is only in solitude that one finds prosperity. And on another day at work, he is approached by Himari, who hugs him out of surprise. At this, Natsumi complains to the girl, telling her to stop bothering him while he is working. But upon hearing this, the girl reminds him that she has been there for over an hour and has still received no attention from him. Having said that, she sits on Natsumi's lap, who soon becomes embarrassed and moves to the other table to continue working on something else. At this, Himari notices him all embarrassed and jumps on top of him again. And then, Natsumi exchanges a brief conversation with her, talking about the bazaar they started 2 years before. And after that, Natsumi asks her to let him go, but Himari says that he is the man with the most coveted neck to be squeezed. And as for her, Himari is the girl with the most desired arms. And during this pushing and shoving, Natsumi remembers a conversation he had with her shortly after the girl helped him sell his jewelry. And that day, Himari proposed that they open a flower accessories store. After all, seeing how his eyes sparkled while working with the flowers gave her the necessary motivation to want to work with him too. That said, Himari asks him to only show those passionate eyes to her, and in exchange for that, she promises that she will help and sell all of her accessories. Well, going back to the present, Natsumi asks Himari about the agency that called her to be a model, and she in turn says that she refused the offer they made her. After all, she is only focusing on helping him sell his accessories, because if he can open his own company by the age of 30, Himari is willing to marry him. And upon hearing this, Natsumi tells her to stop this lame joke, because ever since she started this, Hibari, her brother, started making fun of him, calling him brother-in-law. At this, Himari says that her brother just really likes him, and that's why he keeps making these kinds of jokes, something that won't stop unless Natsumi marries someone else. But upon hearing this, he reminds her that she needs to date first before getting married. At this, Himari comments on that childhood crush he had and deduces that he's not looking for a girlfriend because he still thinks about that girl a lot. And whether that's the case or not, Himari says he should start looking for a girlfriend. And in her case, Himari says she's had a few boyfriends in her life, but she always talked about Natsumi around them. After all, she only saw them as a hobby. Upon hearing this, Natsumi criticizes her for having that kind of thought about other people. However, Himari says she's never had my idea of what it's like to have a romance, so this makes her sound colder. Upon hearing this, Natsumi asks if she's she's really going to wait for him to open a shop to get married, and Himari says that she intends to do so. However, she believes that it could end in an arranged marriage, since he doesn't intend to marry her. And upon seeing her trying to blame him, Natsumi tells her to stop it. However, she intensifies the drama, saying that she will be forced to marry a broken old man because of him. As for him, Natsumi wonders if arranged marriages still exist like they used to. To this, Himari says yes, and that they usually happen after high school, and in her case, this is much more likely to happen, since Himari comes from an illustrious family line. And upon hearing all this, Natsumi sympathizes with her, and says that she can help her if something like that really happens. At this, Himari starts laughing in his face, and says that arranged marriages really don't exist anymore. And well, upon returning home, Natsumi remembers a trip she took with Himari a few years ago, and in the conversation they talked about relationships. Until suddenly, she suggests that they should live together at 30 if they are not dating anyone. Upon hearing this, Natsumi refrains from responding to this proposal, which she considers ridiculous. However, he shows interest in knowing why she sets the exact age limit at 30. At this, Himari explains that 30 years is a good cutoff number, but Natsumi still says that he does not intend to stay with her. After all, he prefers more graceful girls. Upon hearing this, Himari begins to hug him, laughing and saying that this is the first time she has been rejected in her life. Well, the next day at school, Himari finds herself thinking about Natsumi, and believes that she really likes him, because if she just wanted to kiss him, she wouldn't care so much about supporting him in his personal projects. But even though she can't have the relationship she hopes to have with him, Himari says that she at least wants his future girlfriend to accept their friendship. After all, she would feel very sad having to move away from him just because he started dating. And in the meantime, Natsumi goes to a school vending machine until suddenly a girl stops next to him to buy something too, and that he becomes all obsessed staring at her, when out of nowhere her bracelet breaks. Natsumi takes advantage of this opportunity to start a conversation with the girl and offers to fix the accessory for her. However, the girl looks at him with a look of contempt as she asks why he wants to help her, at which point Natsumi simply runs away from the place and tells her to forget what he said. And at another moment, he is approached by Makishima, a classmate. Himari also goes to the place and starts making out with Natsumi, until suddenly, he and Himari start fighting to decide which of the two is Natsumi's owner, and he in turn finds it strange that they fight so much. After all, Himari and Makishima have dated in the past. Himari reminds him that she always treated her boyfriends as just hobbies. However, in Makishima's case, she says she doesn't even want to remember the time she spent with him. The two start arguing, but Natsumi interrupts them and asks what Makishima is doing there. Upon hearing this, the boy goes straight to the point and asks if Natsumi talked to a girl near the vending machines the day before. At this point, Natsumi remembers the girl and assumes that she is another one of his girlfriends. However, Makishima says that this is not the case. In fact, he calls the girl, Rin, over to them and says that she wants to fix her bracelet. They then go to Natsumi's room, where she begins to analyze the critical state that the bracelet is in. Then he starts to make a worried face, making Rin angry. And when she sees her getting so close to Natsumi, Himari informs her that the boy is usually very shy with people he doesn't know, and then points a mirror at Rin's face, showing the scary expression she is making. And when she sees herself so angry in the mirror, Rin falls backwards in fear of her own image, which makes Himari start to make fun of her face. Then Rin gets up and begins to levitate Himari with just one hand while reminding her of the times she did bad things to her. And when she sees no way out, Himari decides to appeal, groping Rin's breast in order to make the girl let her go. At this, Rin gets scared and gives Himari a handprint on her face as a gift. And then, the girl is left at the next table while Natsumi fixes the bracelet at the other table with Rin. But when she notices him being very distant, Rin gets confused, and Himari informs her that he usually gets very focused when it comes to his art. And well, after finishing the bracelet, he goes home alone. And as for Rin and Himari, they continue on their way together. And suddenly, Rin starts to chat and comments on a person she liked but had never seen. And then she shows a photo of Himari with the accessories made by this person she is talking about, that is, Natsumi himself. Upon hearing this, Himari realizes that she is no longer the only one who can admire Natsumi's work. Who would have thought you would stay cooking the guy for years? Things would go bad, right? Who would have thought that someone interested would appear and you would lose your spare tire? I'm rooting for him to end up with someone else. Comment below what you think, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm gone.